Ethan Dunn on the left, playing Elves, versus Brennan DeCandio. As DeCandio beat teammate Jim Davis to make it to this top 8. He was one of 2 Grixis Shadow players, but as we saw the other one, Dylan Donegan, no longer in the event. Brennan now the lone representative of the archetype. And it will be Elvish Mystic from Ethan Dunn to start things out.
Let's see if Brennan can bolt the bird, as it were.
Well, there's something red in his hand. You mentioned he'd keep in Teamer Battle Rage in this matchup as well, right?
Yes, yeah. There's some games where if your opponent is heavy on Shaman of the Pack, they can chump block their way into a win.
Well, it's not bolting a bird, but it's pushing an elf. The Elvish Mystic gets hit by Fatal Push for Brennan.
Yeah, that's the 2018 remix.
And go over to Ethan's side. Looks like he does have at least a second land.
Probably giving some consideration to whether to get a dual land or another forest.
And this matchup, does it ever come down to is it a race between the players, or is really Brennan playing control?
It's definitely Brennan playing control, but he can only do that for so long. He can't destroy every creature in the deck, and for that reason, at some point, he really needs to get aggressive.
It's almost like Brennan loses the early game and the late game, and there's just this middle window he has to find.
Yeah, it's more of like a tempo spot. He has to figure out exactly when he can win, if he can win, and do so before things switch back the other way.
Dwinnen's Elite from Ethan. Now, this would make him a 1/1 token if he had another elf in play, but he does not. So as it is, it's just a 2/2.
Hand must be long on 3s and collected companies if that's the play.
Yeah, we did see Azuri Renegade Leader in his hand when he was going through it, so he has at least 1/3.
I suppose it could just be more Dwinnen's Elites as well.
Yeah, I could see that.
If this one sticks, that turns pretty fine. Unclear if that will happen. Brennan's plan certainly involves it not working, though it looks like he's looking for a second land. I think he found it, though. Opt into Swamp.
And Thoughtseize from Brennan. Let's take a look at what Ethan has. So Shaman of the Pack is a 3, Azuri is a 3, Elvish Archdruid is a 3, and Court of Calling. So, yeah. Not only does Ethan have a lot of 3s, he actually is also missing mana.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of needs to find a 3rd land to keep playing. And with this hand just being a bunch of spells that are uncastable, to be fair, the Thoughtseize is not very good against this hand. But you need to evaluate which one is the worst case scenario if the 3rd land shows up.
I guess the reason it's not good is because if Ethan has a 3rd land, he still has great things to cast, and if he doesn't have a 3rd land, what does it matter?
Right.
Draw from Ethan. It's not a land. He'll swing for 2. Brennan down to 13. You want to be careful about giving Grixis too many of these chip shots.
Yeah, especially, you know, Brennan, he drew Swamp there, so he couldn't deal as much damage to himself as he would like.
Yeah. Scavenging Ooze was the draw and the play from Ethan. This does mean next turn, I guess he could Chord for 1.
Not very exciting.
Not great. Back we go to Brennan. A 4-life Dismember to take care of Scavenging Ooze. Brennan will drop to 9. Then cast Death's Shadow as a 4/4. Makes sense.
Yeah, he wanted to pay that life. That is just fine.
With cards like Death's Shadow, does Ethan need to be careful in the last turn when he just chipped in for 2 with Dwinnen's Elite?
Yes and no. You want to pay mind to your opponent's life total. With the way his hand is set up, you might just kind of have to hope that Brennan's hand is slightly non-functional, because his things aren't really getting better for him anytime soon.
Elvish Visionary for Ethan Dunn hopes to hit that land, but he missed again. Now I go over. Now Brennan's. This is that mid-game window I mentioned where he can try to turn this around. Needs to be careful that he doesn't actually get hit too hard on the way back. Here's Thought Scour, targeting himself.
That red card in hand, it is Lightning Bolt, but no red mana just yet.
Right. And when he does find red mana, he likely will have to pay 3 life for it. The deck doesn't play a basic mountain.
Right.
He's got to be very careful.
You have to wait, which probably means just taking 3 damage off of these elves, so yeah.
Here's a swing with the Death Shadow. It's a 4/4. Ethan will go to 13. Brennan looks like off that Thought Scour he found another Death Shadow.
That's a nice one.
I do like that. He'll get to cast it here. You have to be careful. Remember, Shaman of the Pack is one of the 3s in Ethan's hand. That could just end the game immediately. Death Shadows the play, and he passes. Ethan, does he hit the land? He does. It's a forest. We are back in business for the Elves player.
Yep. The Azuri in hand still looking pretty mopey.
Yeah, but Shaman of the Pack doesn't look bad. I guess, actually, wait. This
Shaman's not great.
good. Yeah, we're in the spot where if you're going to start attacking Brennan's life total, you better finish the job.
Yeah, the Shaman makes it so the combination of the shadows are lethal on the following turn.
Yeah, okay, so maybe we don't play Shaman. Huh. I see the difficulty here.
Could cord for 2 and find Dwinnen's Elite. Try to set up to actually get a lethal Shaman in one swoop.
Yeah, my problem is if you're going to make that play, are you going to chump block with them, or are you ready to take some damage? Because these are a pair of 4/4s. It's 8 points of damage. So let's say you make those blockers, and then just Brennan has a fetch land. You might just have to get rid of all the elves you played.
If Brennan plays a land pre-combat, then you're kind of priced in to making at least one chump block if you're going for Dwinnen's Elite.
All right, we're aware that we lost video feed here. We're going to pause the players for a second once we figure out what's going on here. I believe a camera actually knocked off here.
And it looks like Ethan has just cast Azuri, and we're going back to Brennan.
Okay, well, this is interesting. So if we get to a spot where Azuri can survive with other elves, you can hold off those shadows for a while thanks to that first ability on Azuri.
You get to regenerate your chump blockers. We'll find out if Brennan has access to some kind of removal spell. He's been stuck on this third land, been off red mana for the duration of the game. He found Collective Brutality, though. And
that's really strong. He's going to go ahead and escalate it, because to look at Ethan's hand, because he knows about Chord of Calling. Yeah.
Taking that chord's very significant here.
Azuri gone, Chord gone. This is a great turn for Brennan.
And this is really the nightmare scenario for casting the Azuri over going for that chord for Dwinnen's Elite.
Yeah. I'm interested if Brennan will attack with one or both shadows here. This is close.
This life total where it is, both makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. I think it's making sense to Brennan, too.
If there's a land, then he only takes 7 on the crackback with both creatures attacking land, 1 mana elf, Shaman of the Pack.
Rumbles on in for 8. Ethan takes it. He goes to 5 and will pass back.
Really wants untapped land here. Finds the exact opposite.
Collected Company.
Uncastable Collected Company.
So he has Elvish Mystic, Shaman of the Pack, Collected Company.
Can play one of Shaman of the Pack or Elvish Mystic. If you play Elvish Mystic, then you could potentially survive and cast Company next turn.
Because if he even attacks here or plays Shaman, then both shadows are lethal.
Yep. Yeah, it's a real tough spot.
That's going to be hard.
Going for Shaman.
Okay, I mean, he just has to. Okay, so Brennan goes down to 6. Both shadows are lethal.
That means he'll have to double chump here.
I don't see how he gets out of it.
Brennan, another red card in hand, the Colligan's Command.
All right, swings both. Both of them are lethal now. They are 7/7s.
Brennan also picked up a Gurmag Angler, which will be lethal on the following turn.
Yeah, and it's another blocker, so he doesn't take any more damage.
So Ethan needs to double block here, draw untapped land and Collected Company into double Shaman of the Pack.
Is that all?
That's it,
all
though.
All right, easy. Both the elves go away. Post-combat, we go back to Brennan. Can't play any of these red cards, but we don't know that he needs to. Here is Gurmag Angler.
Zombie Fish. Maintains spells he can cast in the graveyard for maybe Snapcaster Mage. There's step 1.
Okay.
Pendelhaven.
Pendelhaven, here we go. It's just got to be Company. And I don't think there's a reason to wait to do it on Brennan's turn. I think he just fired off now.
Yep.
And that's what he does. All right, top 6. He needs some great ones. 2 Shamans will do it.
Double Shaman.
1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think we have any yet. 2 more Shamans. There's 1.
Is it? Ah, it's Llanowar Elves. That's not a Shaman.
Is it Llanowar Elves, Shaman of the Pack? No, it's not 2 Shamans, just 1.
And that's just
Brennan's
3
down to
chump blockers.
3. So he chumps away his whole team. Go back to Brennan. If Brennan, of course, draws a Fatal pushes away a creature, and he's going to swing in. That's going to be game. And Brennan DeCandio on Grixis Shadow will move on 2-1. Ethan just checking. He wants to make sure. There's no way around it. And that's going to be the match. So Brennan winning in 3, moves on to the semifinals where Steven Dykman awaits. That's going to be Death and Taxes, the mono white deck versus Grixis Death Shadow.